Hey everyone, it's Andrew Brown, and welcome to Claude Code Camp. I am your favorite cloud instructor, AI instructor as well, and we are here to kick it off. As I promised, we do have a special guest. If you can guess who it is, uh, good for you. And we're going to jump over here to our working screen. Let me get my slides up. Um, and here we go. So, hey everyone, welcome to Claude Code Camp. Hey, Chris.
Hey, everybody.
So who knew Chris would come? But actually, originally I had Tim, but Tim had some other things to do. But he's actually in the boot camp, and I promoted him to guest instructor. But maybe he'll come back next week. But he knows Circle Mud really well, so that'll be really, really interesting if we can hear some of his stories of playing that and things about it. But anyway, as per our boot camps, we always go through slides, and we will let Chris get to his introduction here in just a moment. So for those that need a reminder, it is called Claude Code Camp, but that's a marketing thing. You can use Codex, you can use Gemini CLI, you can use any open model as long as it's driven by a coding harness. There will be some limitations that I have suggestions for what you should use to build out your agent in terms of SDKs, but for the most part, you're going to have a lot of flexibility to try to deliver this. Hello, everyone in the chat. Just seeing everybody the messages. So that's all great.
Oh, so nice.
And so I figured we'll kick off here with Chris Williams' introduction. And by the way, we're going to call all of our guest instructors guest goblins. So hopefully that is fun for it. So Chris works at Field CTO at 6 feet up. So
yes, that is correct.
How's that going?
Brand new job. So I started 5 weeks ago. As you know, Andrew, 6 feet up was founded by another member of the AWS Hero program, Calvin. And you, me, and Calvin go way, way back. And Calvin has been trying to hire me over to 6 feet up for a number of years, and it finally happened. So I am now the first field CTO over at 6 feet up. I do enterprise architecture, pre-sales, developer advocacy. Like I'm still keeping all of my community chops strong and helping out where I can. But it's an AI and Python company. So today's Claude Code Camp is right in my wheelhouse.
And for Python, don't they like run a conference every year? They're very involved in one. Is it PyCon or they're a sponsor or?
So they are a sponsor of PyCon. They used to do this thing called the Python Web Conference, PyWebCon. They didn't do that this year. They're trying to figure out whether or not it's worth. They started that because of the pandemic, and they're like, we still want to have the vibe of PyCon, but we don't want to. But nobody can go anywhere, so they did PyWebCon. And now that everything has gotten mostly back to normal, and PyCon and EuroPyCon are both happening, they're like, do we still need to do this? So we're trying to figure that out right now.
And I believe you got a blog or newsletter going?
So I've been Mistwire for the past 25, 30 years. And so I have mistwire.com. I've been not spending a lot of time working with it because of V Brown Bag and my community efforts. But recently I've decided to start kicking that back up. I'm very excited about properly using AI as we will get into during this conversation, and helping people be judicious about where to use frontier models, where to use open weight models, how to not burn down the planet, making giant AI data centers scream in pain. So yeah, I'm starting to be a little bit more in the newsletter space.
I think one interesting fact that if people have never met you don't know is that you're taller than me. Like, I'm considered tall, but you're taller than me. I don't know that you're taller than me. So how tall are you?
So both me and Aaron Hunter are exactly 6'8". When we see each other, for Europeans, that is 2 meters tall. I'm like 199.5 centimeters. So I just say 2 meters. But yeah, so me, Andrew, Aaron, and a couple of other people, whenever we're at a conference together, we're like, oh, there he is, right over there. I can see him right across the expo hall floor.
And I mean, the question is as in the comments, actually, can we highlight comments in this? Oh yeah, we can. So
Let's do it.
Are you suggesting you've been improperly using AI? I don't know. Depends on what you use it for. I definitely waste a lot of credits. That's for sure. And in terms of prep, how much do you know what's going on for today?
All right. So, as you and I discussed, I deliberately kept myself a little bit in the dark so that I can do what I do best, which is ask questions and be the cloud therapist and try to figure out things as we go. I am putting on my enterprise architecture hat. I did cheat a little bit. I started watching your prep videos this morning. I do have the repo copied over to my own account, and I've already got a couple of questions. So I you and I have done this before, so you and I have our common tropes of how we're going to get this done. So I've kept myself in the dark for the most part, so I can ask the good questions.
Excellent. Yeah, and so what I'm hoping to get from Chris is to figure out how to guide us through our technical scoping or specs. As I mean, I feel like in this field, I mean, I'm sure it's very similar to the ways we've done it prior, but with cloud was a very consistent. At least I felt there was a very consistent way in terms of packaging, delivering technical scoping and specs. And sometimes I'm at a loss in terms of what's the best way to present it. And so I'm hoping we can stumble through it, or if you found a secret way to do it, I'd love to know your secrets. And as always, I always do way too much in terms of content, but I've been trying to scale back. So folks might know, and we'll point this out, but you might notice some inconsistencies in terms of what's in the Exam Pro repo and my repo and some of the docs. But it's me trying to not give people 100 hours each week. But we'll see how that goes. We'll continue on forward here. And just go through our usual spiel in terms of what folks need to know before we start jumping in and doing some architecting here. So we'll start off with reading the fun manual. And there's my timer. That's the 30-minute mark. Folks, my camera turns off every 30 minutes, so I have to toggle it on and off. It's a technical problem that I cannot solve. It's just I can either have a good-looking photo or a video, but I got to turn my camera on and off every 30 minutes. So I just want to point out to folks,
one day you'll fix that, Andrew.
Maybe we'll see. AI can't fix it, that's for sure. So I just want to point out that everything is documented in this bootcamp in various places. So before you start asking questions in the general chat in the Discord, check out the FAQs in the bootcamp wiki. As people are asking things, we're constantly updating those. There's also an outline in the bootcamp, and that also gets updated with corrections as people ask questions. We have a codes of conduct. Follow our codes of conduct. You can read about it in the bootcamp wiki. Stay on top of the most important announcements will be in the Discord. We do also have announcements with Exam Pro platform, but often the most important ones are in the Discord. When you have questions, ask them in the forums. You can ask questions loosely, but for the most part, putting your questions in the forums makes it not just easy for us to find it to answer your questions, but for other boot campers to pave the road for their learning as well. And if you need a main link to get everything, it's claude.exampro.co. There's links all over the place. So click. But I believe in the actual platform, if I just click off screen here, I'm pretty sure that we do. We have links all over the place for this information. So you have the stuff handy for you. If you have yet to make your way into the Discord, please do. If you're having issues getting the Discord and you are supposed to be in the Discord, email support@exampro.co. We want you to be part of the Discord so you can get the full experience of the bootcamp. And a lot of the really good, useful information will be locked up in that Discord. Okay. In terms of grading and journaling, I want to make a strong emphasis that what I really care about is not necessarily that the thing works, but you're documenting your experience, because I want you to grow your domain knowledge and gain your technical certainty. There are aspects of this bootcamp that I haven't fully solved that I might not even be able to complete. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's more so we're trying to build that domain knowledge, and that is what is critical for us in this bootcamp. And so when we're talking about journaling, I like to see hypothesis, technical uncertainty, technical exploration, final observations, outcome. This is technically in Canada what we do, and we do shred, which is research and development for companies. And so you hear me mention shred. And so, I want you to loosely try to do that. And I will show examples of that in the videos that I've already recorded. And Chris is going to help us out a bit here today in terms of how to do journaling to some degree. What not to journal. So if there's basic routine stuff, we don't need that information. Like, I learned what this technical term is. We don't need that. What we need to know is where you are growing and where you're pushing the boundaries in terms of technical uncertainty. Okay, so routine steps and basic explanations, we can leave that out. And as I said, we'll demonstrate that journaling in the videos. In terms of badges, that's not what the final badge looks like. We actually have a more professional, normal looking badge, but for the theme of these things, that's what it looks like. Tell me if you want that to be the real badge, and I could switch it out. But I assume people just want the standard normal badge for their LinkedIn. So to earn a badge, you must at least submit for Preweek. This bootcamp is, we'll talk about its scaling in a moment, but I'll explain why you can get a badge in just Preweek. And we do have some special badges. We have the Red Squad and Admiral badge. Red Squad is what I award to some of the best boot camps that just do extremely well. Admiral is for those that are already like very technical professionals, and they're already very capable to begin with, but they're more recognizing long-term technical veterans that are not just here to participate, but they just like to help out everybody out, and we just like to recognize that they are experts here that are helping out. We do not share the criteria in terms of how to get these things. We have in the past, but that has created a lot of difficulties where people are trying to check the boxes to get these things. And we may issue as many as we want or none at all. And we do have very special badges that we assign. If you ever played Catan, like think of like the longest road. We have things like that, though there is no longest road here. Maybe it could be like the person that messaged Andrew the most when he was sleeping.
Oh no!
Don't do that though.
Don't even mention that. What are you doing?
Okay. People ask, are these badges on Creditly? No, we don't buy into the Creditly system. We actually have explored working with them, but it's just extremely expensive, and they don't do a whole lot in terms of benefit. So we are our own issuer for our badges, and people are already suggesting they want the ASCII art one. I mean, I don't think our system supports both, but I could try to figure it out. Maybe there's something we can do to get so you can get either variation of the badge. What I care about is proof of effort. So when we're talking about proof of effort, we're talking about when you are asking for help, like in the Discord or anybody, as technical professionals, I think that you should show proof of effort before you ask a question. Why would we want to do this, Chris?
So there's a couple of different reasons. One, you definitely want to by asking the questions out loud in the room. One, you're helping the other people that are afraid to ask by bringing something to light that more than one person. If you have a question about it, I guarantee you many other people will have that question. Some people are afraid to say that. So by saying that out loud, you're helping out your community. Two, you are actually increasing the general consensus pool of knowledge in the room. So other people that are watching it, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't think to ask that question, but now I have that in my head too. So you are increasing the quote unquote tribal knowledge of everybody in the room, and you're just helping elevate everybody.
I think Dan, one of our boot campers, is here, and I think he likes to practice rubber ducking.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, rubber ducking is you have a rubber duck on your desk, and you talk aloud. Oh yeah, you have one.
I actually legit have a rubber duck.
There was a rubber duck store in Montreal, but I couldn't find one that was like, I wanted one that was like Freean themed or something like fun like that, but I couldn't find that. But what I have instead of that is I have a two cows cow. So I have the two cows cow from like 2001 or whatever.
I missed two cows. Holy crap. That is a deep cut right there. Wow.
I'll talk about these in a moment. I have more little things. There's a reason for that, but I
have a Napster t-shirt.
That's cool. It'd be really cool. It'd be like, well, I'm not about LimeWire, but like Kazaa or Kaza, because then you'd have people. You could correct anyone. They're like, oh, you have a Kazaa shirt. You'd be like, no, it's Kazaa. Whatever. But like sometimes what happens is that when you talk out loud, even in documentation or proof of work, you are unfurling the question, and then half the time, by the time you post it, you've figured it out. So that's just a very professional. Talk out the problem. That's a very. Oh, I've got a goat. I've got a goat. Ultraman says. But yeah, that's something we want to do. But anyway, so post in the correct form for the week you're working on. I don't know why it's a question mark. I think these were framed as question marks, and now they're not. So I'll get my pen tool out here. It's not a question. It is posted
A
in the correct
statement.
place. Yeah. Take the time to describe what could be wrong. Did you provide code examples? So markdown format, apply syntax highlighting, learn how to do that in Discord. Did you show possible steps to resolve the issue? Right? Did you provide screenshots from your computer? Did those screenshots show key information? Now I'm showing this stuff because we usually do like web stuff, but whatever key information you can, minus your authentication keys, unless you want to share them with everybody. I don't recommend to share your Claude keys or your keys, but try to show
Absolutely not.
those key things.
Keep your .env private.
Not only is asking questions critical for learning, it's also the skill when working with AI. Asking better questions makes all the difference, and that is absolutely true.
Yep.
And so, the thing I just really hope that we don't see is, and this is really common for web stuff, but like, I got a 500 error. So that's not enough information. And make sure you write it. I know you could try to use AI to do it, but if you want someone to help you and read it, then you take the time to write it, okay? In terms of difficulty expectations, I need to make this a little bit clear because some people think that the way they should do the boot camp is that it's all or nothing. Whereas I build these boot camps so that they get gradually more difficult. It's not my expectation for you to try to do everything. It's about you doing what you are capable of doing and then auditing the rest. Okay. So one key phrase you'll always hear me say is we're building the bridge as we cross it. What does that mean? Chris laughs because I put people through the ringer with this format, but that's why my boot camps I think are valuable in what they are. So the live streams may end up incomplete. Okay, if they do, I'm gonna just record videos immediately after and upload them. Okay, so whatever I have to do to get the job done, I'm gonna get the job done. Emerging technology might be added last minute. So let's say tomorrow, Gemini releases. Can you think of like a supermodel name for Google?
Let's see. It's not going to be planetary based because Sol and Luna are already taken. It's not going to be Mythos based because Fable and Mythos are taken. Let's call it Zeus. Let's go with Greek
There we
mythology.
go, Zeus.
This is the Zeus model.
So Zeus Pro preview, because they never ever released any. The preview beta from Google comes out, we might adopt it rapidly. Okay, or something we're using might not work anymore. Like, so how many things have happened with Anthropic, and we've had to try to rely on some secondary things. So let's make sure that we're resilient, and we got Volt. Actually, Voltron would have been a pretty good name.
That would, like, you could have the different lions, the black lion, the red lion, and then the Voltron. Oh, that's great, Dan.
We'll talk about programming skills here in a moment, but I would suggest that you have some. But anyway, so guest instructors may change unexpectedly. So I originally had Tim, and then Tim was gone, but I have Chris. Oh, and Chris is now gone. And I was talking to Rolla, and Rolla was going to help, but now she has to watch 5 kids in her house. So,
and make tea.
Pardon? And tea.
And make tea.
And so things are just always changing here, and that's fine. Okay, it's like a real work environment. We'll just roll with the punches. Just like a real world project, scope will change as we go. Not all parts are solved, and this is intentional. So when I built this out, and by the way, I ran through this 3 times. This boot camp took, I think, almost 2 months to make. So it's not like I'm just making nothing here, but like I pulled up my code here. I'm sure you can't see it. And but anyway, I'm just gonna go here, and in this repo, you'll see, actually you don't have access to this repo. This is my private repo. But like in I don't know where it is. But anyway, my point is that when I can show code here a little bit more cleaner when we change modes, we'll change it later. But my point is that for the last week too, I went down the rabbit hole once, twice, and 3 times in terms of implementation. So I have 3 radical different implementations. And then when we come to it, I'm going to be building week 2 just as you are building week 2. But we'll talk about the schedule here in just a moment. I know that's a bit messy. What I want people to understand is it doesn't matter if you fail in the sense of like getting the thing to work. Some of you might be limited in terms of what models that you have. So maybe you're using open models, or maybe your personal goal is local compute. And so you're trying to say, okay, how far can I get with Llama 3.2? Probably not far, but let's say that's your goal. You're going to fail at implementing it, but you're going to learn a lot in the process. And so that's what we care about. Again, that domain knowledge, that technical certainty, that is what matters to us the most. Okay. Um, so let's talk about the schedule. So pre-week, which we call Explore, is basically our beginner week. In this week, the idea is to ramp you up for the main project and do technical exploration so you fully understand what it is that we're trying to do. So in this week, we are going to look at different types of agent implementations, infrastructures, and why they don't fit for our implementation, why we have to build a specialized agent with no SDK, with its own giant agentic loop. Okay, so hopefully that is what we would find out through that process of this week. We're also going to play the mud, as that will be fun. And so we'll waste time doing that. For the week 1, which we call our baseline week, this is basically intermediate. So this is where the real bootcamp is. We are going to be building out the main project. It's a baseline agent that has a simple agentic loop, and it should be able to play the mud. It will work, but you will find that it will not work for long-term tasks, and will have limitations. Okay. And then week 2, which is where we're going to make our agent capable, this is what I would call advanced. And I have multiple ideas of how I would like to solve this. And you will come up with your own. But this is where you have your challenge week. Okay. And so the point is that you might be just a beginner and you can't do the intermediate advanced. That's fine. What I want you to do is wherever you get stuck, you can just audit it. Okay. So build what you can, audit the rest, because you can always come back to these videos later and watch them. You can wait to see what other boot campers come up with, because a lot of people share their knowledge here. And so when the boot camp is over and you still have access to the Discord, you can go through all that and try to figure that out. Okay. How does that sound, Chris? Does that sound fair?
It's more than fair, because I've actually literally done exactly that with some of the previous courses that you've had, where I got halfway through it and then I was like, oh, I got busy, or I got like confused by something that happened in it. And so then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna continue. I'm still gonna like expose myself to the rest of it, like what you said, auditing it, because you still pick up the knowledge, you still pick up the verbiage and everything. And then I went back and took care of it myself.
And, I think the reason why I just keep structuring my boot camps this way is I like there to be a little bit for everybody. And so I just realized that, except when we do our beginner boot camps, that's just for beginners. But I'm trying to have a little bit for everybody. And, hopefully everyone learns a lot there. And, if you fail, you didn't actually fail. You learned a lot. Discord expectations, we just want to set some clear ones here for the boot camp. So the Discord is not a tech meet cute dating service. So stay out of people's DMs. This applies to outside Discord or LinkedIn. So that is something that's really important. Though I'm just kind of think like we did have in our AWS Heroes, I do know 2 people that did meet up through the program and are now together. But my point is that
that was mutual.
That was mutual. I know that was mutual, but but I'm just saying that folks, it's not a meet cute service, and so let's not create any trouble for anybody here. Screenshots from your computer and not from your phone, and I have an example here coming up here, so we'll talk about that here again. When you ask a question, make sure you show proof of effort. No spamming multiple channels even twice. If you're asking like 1, 2, 3 questions in a row and it's just in a general channel, that's probably supposed to be in the forums. Okay. Yeah, post in the forum. So Andrew moderators review multiple times a day. You can try to DM me, but I don't see them half the time. Even today, Chris was messaging me. I didn't see Chris.
You're a busy man. You've got things to do. I don't blame you.
So I think it's mostly my notifications on Discord are usually silented just because there's too much going on. But I do check my backlog. But if it's something that's really important, you got to find a channel that works better. Try to avoid direct messaging me there, because I just can't respond to everyone that way. We have the forums, and I do respond to people, but I just understand that I'll be limited in those 2 ways here. If you have serious issues with violations of codes of conduct, email support@exampro.co. And if there are technical issues with the platform, email support@exampro.co. And I just want to make it really clear, do not take screenshots of your screen using your phone. And so we have an
I love
example.
that graphic. That is
Yeah, is it great?
adorable.
We have an example of our main character taking a photo of their screen to show what's going wrong. Why wouldn't we want to do this, Chris?
So a bunch of different reasons. One, it's hard to read. The most important reason is it's hard to read. You're not gonna like if I take a picture of my screen, those lines of resolution like get in there and then it gets all mucked up. It's absolutely terrible. The cleanest way to do it for human readability and also AI readability, like if you're uploading a screenshot to Claude, which I do constantly all the time, I use the screen capturing technology of the operating system that I'm using. So it's just common courtesy. Also, it's better legibility, and it's just a giant pain in the butt if you take a picture with your phone. And it's actually so much easier to do it from a screen cap. Like screen capping is much easier than taking a picture with your phone, going into Google Photos or whatever, then copying that and then pasting it. Yeah, don't do it.
If you were working on the job with a team of technical professionals and that was the way you communicated, how do you think they would react?
Oh, they'd laugh you out of the room. Are you kidding me? The only time when it is even remotely okay is if you are in a data center, you're on a crash cart, you've got the monitor wired to a system, and that's literally the only way that you can take a picture of the log outputs. That is the only acceptable format.
Yeah, or like I always think of like the boot screen when your computer's booting up, and
Yes,
like
exactly.
that split second you got to capture it, and you're just trying to take a photo of it.
Correct.
So the other thing is that we want folks to try to not commit .node modules, and generally try to keep your repository very clean.
Git
But
ignores your friend.
this one in particular is a big one. Like if you for whatever reason and it gets to grading and there's a node modules in there, it'll be an automatic failure. I will not grade it. And the reason why is that node modules can contain thousands of tiny files, and I can't even pull the repo. So just be very, very mindful of that and careful of that. I think I show somewhere in the video because I had to double check and I came pretty close to committing node modules. But make sure you have in your .gitignore node modules. If you're not sure what that is and it's your first time working with gitignore, just go ask in the forums and I'll help you, or moderators will help you. Because I know everyone's some people are new, but this one is a big no. Okay. I just want to point out that She Clouds is back. So as always, we always have She Clouds. If you're not familiar with it and you are in the boot camp, for the women in tech that are here with us, it is a private Discord space. We have enhanced codes of conduct that we enforce, so that your time here is going to be great. This whole point of the She Clouds is to allow you to connect and network with other women in tech. So please share your experiences and build up your technical professional network. And we just want to make sure that people have a very respectful participation and support during this boot camp. In terms of community goals, if people are wondering, where's the money going? Why did you charge money for this one? It's going to Andrews Technology Center. So this bootcamp directly supports our efforts to build a local technology center to bring economic opportunity to our remote region in Canada. And this bootcamp in particular is paying for our roof. So it'll stay dry inside. Stairs so you can get in the building, as I think that's probably important. And then driveway so you can all come up here and park and visit, okay? So the church is going very well, but it's a slow process. And each of these boot camps really does help move it along. So I greatly appreciate your folks' support. Okay. Let's talk about the project scenario here, just so that Chris fully understands what we're getting into. I think he said he read ahead, but I'm going to provide any kind of context as we're working through this.
I'm locked in.
So the company is called Arcane Loop. It's a studio running a free online text adventure, multi-user dungeon, also known as a MUD, and recently launched a major expansion. A viral streamer caused a flood of new players, and so that seemed like a good thing. But unlike prior launches, for some reason, the retention was dropping sharply. Oh no. Okay. So the Q&A team suspects problems in the player's journey, and so the company wants a player journey agent that can play the MUD, because they heard about this new AI technology, like a real user. that maps the world, tracks progress, flags where players get confused, blocked, bored, or overpowered. So the idea is to figure out the player journey, as it's called, the player journey agent. Before granting access to their live world and proprietary systems, they want it proven on Circle Mud as a test environment, since Circle Mud is a very famous um, uh, mud, and it has a pre-built world. The idea is that if it can play in that world, then maybe it can blindly play into their world, and they're not providing too much bias or guidance for their system. Something that's really interesting, Chris, is that I was telling people about the scenario online, and literally a company that specializes in an online text adventure game was like, "Can you tell us how it works?" Like they're interested in the solution. Like this is supposed to be just a fun solution for the boot camp, and
Right, right.
already it's like it's turning into paid work. Well,
I was
what do
going
you
to say, yeah, you should be billing them for consulting fees to help build it for them, special on the side.
But I think what's really interesting is just like you have something that is just like that's why I would say build in public, because you put something out there and people that are just as passionate or interested in you will show up. And so you basically build almost anything, not anything, but almost anything. Like
Mm.
imagine the gathering card store, online store won't work. If it doesn't work in person, it's not going to work online.
Right.
But with that. And so how can Sheet Clouds be accessed? Do we have to send a request? So yeah. So if you check the announcements, I just say that you have to message me, and I usually cross-reference your information from your grant submission, as that's the way to get in there. But yeah, just check there, and we'll go through there. Um, we'll continue on here. So what do you think of the scenario, Chris?
I love
Okay.
it. I mean,
Okay.
it's so I'm a gamer from way back in the day. I loved MUDs back in the day, so I'm actually really excited to play it.
Have you played Circle Mud?
I have not. No, this is
Okay.
the first I'm hearing about it.
Cool. So we want to build a player journey agent called Bokensha. Bokensha is the Japanese word for adventurer that plays a mud like a real user.
Look at
Um,
you.
our business goal is that the agent is capable enough to complete an ambitious goal while also being token and cost effective. So a goal, and this is obviously very short for a goal, but like reach level 5 would be something that we would set our goal as. I just want to remind folks that we do have office hours. They are going to run twice a week. We usually run them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I didn't post the times here because we often just change them around to accommodate different time zones, but they are posted in the Discord events, and they will be posted here before the weekend wraps up here. Usually it's 11 and 1, but again, there's some variation there, like 11 on Tuesday, 1 at 1 on Thursday. Office hours are via Zoom. We're not recording them this time around, just because it makes it a little bit hard because students are exposing information, and especially since we're dealing with AI keys, I don't want any of that stuff getting exposed or having to redact it, or we forget to redact it and somebody gets a really expensive bill. So
Mhm.
unfortunately, we can't record them. So
Hey, somebody, Punchy McPuncher. My first programming job in high school was working for Infocom on a text-based adventure game engine. This brings back a lot of great memories. Dude, Infocom was like they made Zork, they made all of the great OG text-based gaming systems. So that's a real deep cut right there. That's amazing, Punchy McPuncher.
and so yeah, I think we're pretty much done the slide introductions, and we can get past that there. And by the way, like if you're noticing these graphics here, I actually created like a full character set, and I was actually trying to create an entire world for the text mud. But then I rolled back on that because I said maybe I'm overdoing it here. But if I'm crazy and I drink enough water, maybe I'll on a Sunday I'll just knock out an entire mud world. We'll see. Um, but
What did you use to make the graphics again?
so I mean, I was using ChatGPT mostly, but the thing was is that I had to like individually like pick out everything, like the hair, the body shape, the
Hmm, hmm,
clothing, like reference images. It was just quite the ordeal.
hmm.
And even for the video promotional, I'm not sure if people saw the video promotion where it's like an animated video.
Yeah, it was super cool.
And so I had to make a storyboard, and there was a lot of technical challenges with that. But in the behind the scenes, I share that in the Discord, and I'll probably put more as we go here. But we'll get these slides out of the way, and we'll bring over our stuff here. And we might need to switch screens. We'll see here in a moment. Actually, before we do that, I just want to show a few things because I mentioned the 2 cows here earlier, the 2 cows. But the reason I have this stuff is because my mom, who owned a computer store for, I don't know, like 25 years, I think she just closed up shop. For those who don't know, that's where I get my technical experience is my mom owned a computer store. And she gave me all the stuff that was in her store that she says are antiques, but to me they're junk. But that's fine. Like look at this one. Look at this one. Look at this iPal here. Okay. This is an iPal. It's supposed to be a pal for your iPhone. And she's like, this is an antique. I looked it up on eBay, $8.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's an antique.
All right. Or check this out. We have Corel WordPerfect balloon.
Oh my gosh. WordPerfect.
This came from the 2001 Gnome Dex conference. That was the first conference I ever went to, was Gnome Dex. So like we had the little gnome. I'm not sure if anyone knows the locker gnome is. But
that's even too deep for me. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, and we have a Y2K bug from 2000. I remember these, and I don't know why, but I have a bunch of these robot dogs. So we got a Spider-Man robot dog and a regular one, and I can go on and on with the junk that's here. So, but anyway, I just wanted to share that, and we will go back.
I love that.
We'll go back over to here, and so I guess I would like to show Chris you a little bit about how the thing works, so we can kind of reverse engineer and figure out what kind of technical specs, technical docs we have. Does anyone in the comments actually know of? Oh, wait, if Corel is a Canadian company? I didn't know that.
That's what Dan says. I didn't know that either.
Okay. Well, I mean, we used it extensively in the past, so like I really liked Corel WordPerfect, but. Do you have a copy of Microsoft Bob? No, I do not. No, Microsoft Bob is done. So what I'm thinking is that I'd like to show you the agent that's already built, not the fully capable one, the baseline one, and some of my thoughts and ideas, and we can kind of reverse engineer what some technical specs docs have here, so we can make an architectural diagram or add some docs here. And like how you think that we should explain it. But let me just give you some background first, as you would have not had access to this. So over here, this is my private repo, folks. You don't have access to this, only I do. And right now I am running a few things, but I want to go over to here. And this is running my agent. And I'm just going to try to make this nice and big here because I know it's a little bit hard to see. Okay, so I'm just trying to drag this on up here. And I'm not sure if it'll mess up the font if we go larger. So the agent is loaded right now. My screen's off again. We'll turn it back on and off. And so right now my agent is loaded. I have Anthropic running. I can connect to multiple providers. I can connect to basically anything I want that I implemented. And so down below here, this is right now connected to a MUD. So I have the multi-user dungeon running here, over here, in a container. Okay. Actually, before we do that, I'll just show you that I can get into the MUD. So I can say localhost, or sorry, it's telnet. No, I'll do NC. NC localhost 4000. And so that will connect me to the MUD. And so I think my username is dummy, and then hello world. And so now I'm right now in the MUD. So it says take
over your own body already in use.
Okay, so it's because the MUD was connected to it. So I guess if two people are connected, it was showing that. So I can say like, look, I can see where I am. I can move around, right? I can buy things, whatever. So pretty straightforward. Anything you're interested to see with the circle MUD right now?
So how do you? A couple of different things. How do you bring up your inventory? How do you know what your status is? Like you said you're carrying nothing at all. Okay, cool.
Stats should be stats. Oh, state maybe. Status. When you don't know, you just type help. I used to. Oh, it's score. It's score. That's why it's a bit confusing. So if you type in score, it will tell you things like your age, your hit points, your armor class, what class you are, things like that.
And you're hungry and thirsty. Okay.
I'm hungry and thirsty. But if I'm at the fountain right now, I can drink fountain. Drink fountain. Am I at the fountain? Oh, I'm not at it right now. Okay. I can type look. You're standing at the square. I think I gotta go back north here. There's a fountain. So drink fountain. Great. So now I'm no longer thirsty.
Nice.
Cool.
Cool.
So pretty straightforward, but you can see like, it might be a lot of work typing and figuring out where you go. And so if I go back over to my agent here, I'm just going to disconnect to this one since they both can't be connected at the same time, or I don't think. I'm just going to ask it like, can you go to the bakery and tell me what's on the menu? Okay. And so that's going to run. And right now it's thinking with multiple iterations. As it's running, I actually built a visualizer for it. So I'm just looking for the soft screen here. Here. And this is the view logger. So if I scroll here, you can see that it's executing this right now with this model. And if I just zoom in, this is where we can actually get the visibility. So can you go to the bakery? Sure. Let me first check the current room that is available. We'll just give this a refresh. And so here it's showing that we're standing in the Temple Square. And it says, I'm at the Temple Square. Let me head south towards the market area and look for the bakery.
Did you use LangFuse to get the telemetry out of this, or how did you build this visualizer?
No, this is all scratch.
Is it really? Oh,
yes,
awesome.
Of course.
Okay, cool.
Of course. Everything has to be from scratch with me, but not necessarily. But I found that was the easiest route. So here it's going through, and it's now walking around, and you can see some pre-ramble. So this is like the pre-ramble before it calls a tool. It's not necessarily reasoning, but it's observations of what it's doing. So here you can see it's on the main street. The bakery is to the north. Let me head north. It found the bakery. Okay, I found the bakery. Now let's check what's on the menu. So it did. And so it should go back and give us a report. So if we go back to our actual agent here, it came back and so it said, hey, I made it to the bakery. And so here is the stuff that you have. Okay. So awesome. It works. But the thing is that even though this works, if you gave it a larger goal, like, get
me level 5.
Yeah, get to level 10, and find the first level boss and defeat it. It's not going to do as well as you think it's going to do. Or it's highly dependent on whatever the thinking loop of whatever agent you use. So I'm not sure if everyone's noticed this, but like most agents will have a toggle for thinking. I'm gonna see if I can show this in Claude really quickly. Not all of them, but like if we go over to here.
You mean the thinking mode checkbox?
Yeah, thinking mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm over here, like in Anthropic, so there's thinking, and see it's checkboxed on. So the thing is that, and this is what we need to bring Rolla back for and ask her like exactly what thinking is. And I've lost my screen share here. I'm just getting. Oh, we're back over here. Good. But anyway, so the thing is like when you have thinking turned on, it's running its own reasoning loop or agentic loop that is doing a lot of stuff. And so there could be one that might be able to manage it internally. But the problem with that is that if whatever changes underneath, because we don't know how their thinking loop works, changes, then we don't have a reliable way for it to reason. And so when we're building this out, I want thinking turned off like as much as possible, like either minimal or off at all. And so we're building our own agentic loop that's going to drive the logic so we get predictability. At least that's my thinking. Sorry?
Let me pause real quick and answer somebody's question in the audience. Sure. Alex Drammer said, am I the only person a bit confused with the structure and agenda of this stream? It feels like we skipped 20 steps from zero. So Alex, right now, we're just walking through where we want to get to. We have not started with the process of defining the architecture. We will get to that. We're just talking about what we're looking a little bit further down the road right now.
And so yeah, the goal here is just to broadly get Chris the full scope so that we can go out and make that document so that we all understand what it is that we're building out.
Right, exactly.
So I was saying something about something. It was something that was important.
Thinking mode, agentic loops, what thinking mode, what turning on thinking mode means, and why it's impactful to what we're trying to do from an advanced commands perspective inside of your agent.
So like as a solution architect, I want my agent to be reliable, and I want to remove any kind of hidden logic from it. And so that's my reasoning for trying to turn off the thinking loop. And so again, that is a theory. I don't know if that's good or not, but that's what I'm doing, and it seems to be working very, very well. But anyway, so that is the base agent. One other thing that I've done here, just because it can be a little bit hard to navigate this world. So Circle Mud, there's no document for it. So like in games that
Yeah.
there's like game facts that'll like tell you where everything is. There's nothing like that for that, even though this game's really old. And so I had to create a visualizer to show me what the actual world looked like, because I had no idea like where things connected and what was in where. Okay, so this is something I just AI generated really quickly based on the code source. But it tells us like what room we're in and where stuff is and what objects are there, so we can have a visualization. So truly, I couldn't really explore too much. Like I can only look around, around at my surroundings information, but there's no definitive guide that you can just like ingest. Like how if you have a knowledge base, like let's say you wanted to play Super Mario World, and on GameFAQs they have a full document on exactly how to play,
Right.
like in the whole world and everything. We don't have that for this.
Now, did you create this world did the agent go through the world and make this on the fly, or did you reverse engineer the code and create this?
So what I did is I went into the source code and I figured out what the source files were. So like if I go over to again, not to make this too complicated, but if I go over to here, what I did was I downloaded the source code, which runs in our infrastructure directory here. And it should be in here. I don't remember where it is. But anyway, anyway, it's somewhere in here. I have a video on it. But the point is that in the source code, it generates out a world. And in that world, there's a bunch of text files. And so I looked online for a thing that could parse the data into JSON. So it was already an open source project. I didn't use AI, and it generated out the JSON files. And then I just said to Claude, I said, take all these JSON files and visualize them for me. And then it made that tool. It was as simple as that. So to answer your question,
you answered it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. So that's how we know like what's going on in the world. And so I did a bit of investigation in terms of whatever. Just clicking through here, I found out there's like a newbie area. And so for this, for the agent, I'm going to build everything around the newbie area, because the newbie area is like an isolated zone in the game. And in that zone, I know there's a Minotaur. And so I want to make the goal for the boot camp that you need to get to whatever level to defeat the Minotaur in the newbie area will be the initial design.
This is a dumb forward-thinking question, but
Sure.
is Circle Mud procedurally generated? Is the world different every time, or is it
No.
is it okay, good. Phew. All right, that was going to be even more difficult then.
So yeah, it will just it will be the same world. The only problem though is that this isn't actually Circle Mud. We're using TBA mud. So
Oh, okay.
Okay, and the reason I did that was that Circle Mud's really good, but it's really old. And so TBA mud, it just makes a bunch of modern improvements for interfacing with it and stuff. And it adds a little bit extra functionality like triggers and quests and things like that. But our world doesn't really actually have any triggers and quests, because you'd actually have to populate them. It didn't have it in the base world. So it has the base world of Circle Mud. It basically works like Circle Mud, but it has some technical improvements. But it's actually TBA mud. So
okay, so we're using TBA mud for the boot camp.
Yes. Well, originally I used Circle Mud, but then I switched it to TBA mud, and it alleviated a lot of technical problems. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right.
Cool.
All right. So I have a bunch of architectural questions, but please go ahead.
Okay. So what I'll do is make a new document, and we'll call this our tech exploration spec. And this is the point where I'm asking you to drive your questions about what you have about this project.
Okay. So my questions will be bucketed into a couple of different areas. We're going to do like infrastructure questions, integration questions, scoring rubric questions,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what I don't know yet, so we'll just have like a miscellaneous bucket, miscellaneous questions as well.
Okay.
So under the infrastructure questions, how are we going to be setting up the environment locally? In the instructions I saw, you said we're going to have Docker installed, so we're going to have to figure out how to install Docker,
Mm-hmm.
get TBA mud stood up in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
In the integration questions section, go ahead. Initialize workplace.
World data, yeah.
Mhm.
So I have a video that shows you where it is and how to
Mhm.
start it up. The only thing I don't show you how to do is install Docker. I'm sure I have like 100 videos on how to install Docker.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
sorry. Yes.
people can figure out how to install Docker, but that's going to be something that folks will ask questions about. In the integration perspective, standing up the agent, how the agent is going to communicate with TBA mud.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Just a second. The infrastructure or integration? Oh, integration, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, integration.
So it's let me just get back here. So
Well,
standing.
I guess standing up the agent would be infrastructure question, and then
Okay, sure. Darn font here. Okay, standing up the agent.
mhm.
Yep.
In integration questions is going to be how is the agent going to be interfacing with TBA mud?
Okay. Yep. What else?
Um, under miscellaneous questions, let's put something for monitoring. So you have your visualizer set up. So we definitely want to have a how is the agent monitoring its progress? How is it making sure that it knows how it's being successful?
Mm-hmm.
What else? I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that we want to get through.
Well, let me answer some of these, and we can always unfurl some. So,
Yeah.
yeah, how do we set up the environment? And the thing is, yeah, we'll install Docker stand up DBA, and so we already have a video. So I have a video how to run the Docker container, and I show you where the world data is generated. And
Cool.
we even look at the world data together. I actually had another video where we actually use an agent to explore the code base, but I cut that for now. In terms of standing up the agent, like it depends. Are we talking about like where is it being deployed?
Where is the agent being deployed? How are we connecting it to the basically all of the verbiage that I'm assuming that we're going to put inside of a markdown file. So like its integration points and how it's going to interact with the environment. What are the rules of engagement for the agent itself?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the agent right now, it just runs locally. Agent runs locally.
Mhm.
I would say what's out of scope is deployment. So there's a lot of solutions out there and managed solutions. Like I think Agent Bedrock, like Amazon Bedrock, or Agent Core is an example of a hosted model or agent under a very strict framework.
Mhm.
But I would say deploying the model is out of scope because I really want to focus on building that capable loop, which is the real challenge,
Mm.
and understanding like how agents work underneath. But if I was to deploy this, I mean, it's just an app, right? So there's nothing because everything's managed APIs. You just deploy this as a regular old application. That's what I would do.
Okay.
If
Cool.
it was my personal decision here. How is the agent interfacing with TBA mud? When you are working with something like a finite, like a definitive or a determined, a definitive world like this, the best approach is always to create some kind of interface. And
Mm.
so we create a thing called the mud manager. So uh, we create a mud manager SDK, which allows you to programmatically um, interact with the mud.
Mhm.
It it is handling telnet sessions.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it has primitive functions that the agent can build tools upon. Okay, so like anything that you like, any of the commands you can execute on, they all have a function, right? And
Mhm.
so the idea is that in your actual thing, you can have tools. So it has all the primitives for it. We're not using MCP. We could use MCP, but it's not necessary.
I was just going to ask why would we what is your rationale for going with the SDK instead of using an MCP
Well, even if you had an MCP, you'd still have an SDK. Because an
behind
MCP
it?
is just exposing a way of working with it. So, like, let's say we were building something that could play any mud,
Mhm.
right? And it was generalized, and so you'd want to be able to plug this MCP into anything. But since this is such a specialized built thing for one company,
Mm.
there's no advantage of building an MCP, at least that I can think of.
Okay.
So unless they want to generalize it and make it a shareable component for other projects,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
Rams's thing, MCP, MCP, MCP. But like I literally like I spent like multiple days trying to decide like does MCP work for scope, and I couldn't work it in because it didn't
Okay.
need to be done. So
Cool.
miscellaneous questions. How is the agent monitoring its progress? So this is an open question because open question, which is what we will try and figure out in week 2, because in that capable week, we would want to write a what do you call it, a acceptance criteria.
Mhm.
That's normally what these agents do, and it's the criteria is model driven. Um, but all those capable layers is what we're going to try to figure out, like memory, like goal assessment, task management, all that kind of stuff. And I've broken it down like 3 different ways, and so I don't have an answer
Okay.
of exactly how it should work, but I know that we are collecting logs, so
Right.
it can reflect back on that log data, and that we should have memory layers, and that we should have acceptance criteria, and things like that.
My thinking on this is you've already built the visualizer, so
Mhm.
something watching the visualizer might be a really good um, mechanism for determining success.
Well, I mean, like it already has access to its logs, but the thing is that the way the logs are really for humans, right? To analyze it. And so the way the data would be stored in week 2, which I don't know at this point, is
Mm.
optimal for the agent to understand, and not necessarily optimal for the human to understand. So um that's the part that is kind of fuzzy, right? So I don't think feeding the visualizer in any way back to, well, maybe there actually is, maybe there is a way, but at this point I'm skeptical that might be the approach to it. And so there's a
We
big,
actually
sorry, yes.
we actually just had an episode of V Brown Bag on AI
Oh,
observability,
nice.
and you definitely want to watch that one. But they talk about how this company uses an LLM with a very tightly controlled feedback loop.
Hmm.
One AI is basically emitting data,
Hmm.
OTEL data, and the other AI has a very finite set of parameters to determine whether or not that AI, the first AI, was being successful. We probably don't want to go down that rabbit hole for this, but it was a fascinating use case for it.
So Kaizen's guy is asking about like, well, how much exists prior to this boot camp? Well, nothing. We're building it
Yeah,
all. So
we
I mean,
TB
technically I have
and
code.
agents.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Technically, I have code, and so for the Explore week, some things are in place already. Like you don't have to build the SDK. I already built that. You don't have to figure out the infrastructure. I already figured that out. The preview thing that I have, the 2 visualizers, you don't have to build that. But I have to put one caveat in here. I implemented everything in Ruby. Okay. And so
Oh,
if you don't want to use Ruby, you don't have to, but you'll have to port over those other tools or figure out how to interface with them. To me, I think that we're at a point where we should be able to work with anything and be able to work with anything. And so like I have a Ruby app, I have a Python app, I have a JavaScript app in this thing. And it's just one language is another. Like for me, all languages are the same. So I just kind of move from one to another. But I chose Ruby because it's very strong at writing uh, uh, domain specific languages, DSLs, And for when you're building abstractions on it, I just found that it was the solution that worked. And also, I just didn't want to use Python because there's a lot of stuff that's built into Python, like plugins and stuff. And I wanted to see, can we still build something very capable that's not driven in the primary thing? But likely what's going to happen in week 1 is I'm going to just record porting everything over to Python. So, because I know everyone's going to want
you
Python
love making
anyway.
things hard for yourself, don't you?
Yeah, I know. But the thing is that my expectation is that, if you're not comfortable coding, I will show you how to run the Ruby code, right? And you just observe it and you go, okay, great, I get it. But if for whatever reason people want to use Python, I'm likely going to just port it over to Python, just so that I can kind of walk through the content anyway and talk about it. Because the week 1 is like 100% solved, right? And Explore Week is not us building it, but we're building things around it to kind of builds up to that. Okay. But let me just go back here to our comments here. So would you need a GPU with enough VRAM in order to create a video locally? I'm not sure, as it says video, so I'm not exactly sure.
He's been asking about, are we gonna show people how to create anime videos? The answer
is no. The only way to make anime videos right now is to pay for ByteDance, the company that does TikTok. Did you know they have like their own basic cloud provider, and it literally has load balancers and containers and databases. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but the process to making that anime video is a lot of work. And you can prompt things, but you won't get the results you want. I think we're basically there. If you know how to like put storyboards together and you can give it references, you can get what you want, but it's hard.
Who volunteers to port to Rust? No. I mean, I'm not going to do it.
What's the LOE?
Level of effort?
Sorry, level of effort on this
level of
bootcamp.
effort.
A level of effort for someone not into games and has no clue of MUDs or anything of online games. I mean, I show you how to play the game. So there's a whole video on me showing how to launch it, play it, run it. It's not complicated.
Yeah, and to be clear, we're not playing the game to play the game. We're teaching an agent to play the game and do the corner cases for us. So you don't have to be into video games to learn from this code camp. That's just the example that we're using.
Like you don't have to play for 10 hours. It's literally 15, 20 minutes. You'll learn what it is and you'll conceptually understand the world and that there's things in the world. Technically, you could strip away the entire game theme and it could just literally be a little town. You go to places, but that's what it is. So we'll scroll down here. Will you teach us to create an? Yeah, we already talked about that. A lot of questions I'm seeing around the scope and requirements are answered in the outline. This is true. Folks, in the curriculum outline, under here, we have a time commitment of information. And so you can see that here. Usually we have a technical scope here in terms of what you should and shouldn't have to do. If it's not there, I will go ahead and add it. So I might need to just go add that, just saying what's out of scope. But the idea here, folks, is that we're specifically focused on building an agent. We're not focused on deployment whatsoever, as we could deploy it anywhere. Who wants to volunteer to port it to Rust? If you want to, that might be really interesting. But honestly, it's not too hard to port to anything over these days, to be honest. The only tricky part in this project for porting will be a text user interface. Chris, are you familiar with TUIs?
I'm going to say...
For agents.
Oh, for agents.
Yes.
I'm still going to say yes, because I'm very comfortable with text user interfaces, but isn't that just command line? So
TUI are specifically libraries that enhance the experience of the thing. So like if you use Claude or whatever, and you're like, oh, how did they make it work so well in the command prompt or terminal? People have built specific SDKs or libraries to have that interactivity. So this video is showing you all the interactivity that you can do when you use Charm, right? Because sorry, yes?
Is Charm a shell? What is Charm?
Charm is the library, the C extension library that makes the terminal more capable, like an interface.
Okay, so you plug this into iTerm or whatever?
No, you put it in your code. Like, so terminal has terminal commands underneath.
Yeah.
And so it's leveraging however terminal stuff works underneath.
Okay.
To make it very interactive. So you don't plug it into your terminal. You plug it into your code that drives the terminal to have the stuff. And some
Okay.
terminals have more capabilities than others.
Mm.
But like when we go back to my mud over here, that's how I was able to, get this to show up here exactly, and it types exactly to the end, and this shows
Mhm.
up here consistently, right?
I
Um,
see.
so, but text user interfaces, I would say, is the hidden difficulty of these things. And so, if you port your code over to something else, this is where you're going to have pain, right?
Mm.
And if you do have pain, just don't use a text user interface. It just won't be as fun. But uh, for this one, Charm, like it's available in Ruby, but I think underneath it was like C. So there's probably wrappers for everything, but there's different ones. This is the one I use was Charm.
Okay.
So anyway, we'll come back over here to our question scope here. Any other questions?
I wonder if Chris is actually sitting on the floor in order to fit into the camera shot. Boris, what's up, buddy? Good to see you again.
Oh, random quotes for war games.
Boris.
So I'm just trying to think, like, are there any questions, or you think you kind of got it?
I mean, this is a great baseline for understanding how we're going to start doing things. I think it's going to be great for us to. I know you've got a visual architectural representation that we want to cut over to like start actually showing. Okay, this is the thing, and this is how we're going to bop over to the thing. Before we get into that, was there any other things that you wanted to cover from this perspective?
I don't know. I think the only thing I would just show you here, if it even helps at all, because again, I'm just trying to throw anything at you so that we can try to visualize. Well, I know I just don't know what I'm not showing you, right?
Sure.
But before we get to the structured content, which folks, when we get to the structured content, it'll be easier, okay?
Yep.
And so in here in week 1 baseline, what I do is I'm stepping. Oh, you probably can't see it.
I can see it,
but I'll make it really, really big here. So in week 1, we have we're building out the agent from scratch. And so I go through each layer saying, okay, we're adding config. We're adding the skeletal structure of it. We're adding a tool registry. We're adding the prompt builder that manages the prompts. We're adding the API layer. We're adding the agent loop. We're adding the logger. We're adding the domain-specific language to make it easier to work with an SDK. The rep loop, the actual loop that you type into, right? And so I break it up individually into steps. And when we get to the end here, we have a very baseline agent. And my hope is that when folks go through this, they'll realize that building an agent is not that hard. And whether you're building a coding harness, whether you're building autonomous agent or a meta agent like Hermes, there's that 30-minute mark again.
Kick your camera.
That if you have a very good baseline project, you can adapt it. Like I was talking to my friend Anthony the other day, and he was using Hermes. And he said, oh, there's a lot of stuff in here I don't even need. I could just build my own. I was like, yes, you can. If you know what parts are in it.
Right.
These aren't complicated. But my opinion is that, you have your baseline, you can keep adapting it for different projects. So that's about it. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll go over to our actual architectural diagram, and we will try to figure out a way to visualize this. And I would think that probably what we want to do is show what the agent looks like, however we would do that. So maybe we should implement the basic agentic loop first.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, it does make sense to do. I mean, normally what we do at this point is we do the physical, logical, and conceptual, where we're framing out the 3 different types of architectural diagrams. But I think for right now, let's just go straight to the agent loop, the architectural, the conceptual format, so that everybody can understand how the logic is going to loop around.
Cool. And folks, if you're not familiar with agentic loops, in any of my Claude Code Essentials or even my Claude Architect course, I do cover exactly what those patterns look like, and specifically for those ones. But we'll lay this out. So the idea is the first thing you have is your prompt, and your prompt is going to go into the agentic loop, which I will drag out to here. So we'll go here and type in agentic loop. And we will position this at the top. By the way, folks, you do not need to make any architectural diagrams. Sometimes in our boot camps, I ask you to make a diagram and submit it. But for this one, I want you to focus on building the agent. And so That is not necessary for you in this one, okay? And then we will just change this so that it has a nice checkered pattern. We won't be too picky here. And so within that agentic loop, we have that. And then I guess on the end here, we have the results, I suppose. We can call it that, or your output. Your output. Okay. And so then within here, the idea is that we have a few things going on here. So I suppose what we would have is, I mean, we do have to have tool use. And so we'll put that here. But normally there's like 3 steps. And so it would probably help if we tried to pull up what Anthropic's one looks like, and then we could reference it. I could tell you if I actually did it that way. And so here is Anthropic. And by the way, again, folks, we're just using Anthropic as an example. You can use whatever you want. So they have prompt, agentic loop, and results. And so they have 3 steps. They have gather context, take action, verify results. Take action normally is driving a tool use, and they're not showing that in here. So I would go here and we have take action. Normally you'd have an observe step beforehand because you want to make an observation before you actually do something. And then they have verify results. And so I'm going to call that reflect, I suppose. Maybe that's not the best name if anyone has better names. I'm going to make this a little bit larger. I imagine it might be a little bit hard to see. I apologize, anyone, if that was a bit too small. Okay. And so the idea is that here we will have tool use coming down from here, if I can find our arrows. Now, I need to make clear that this is the baseline agent, okay? Because when we go ahead and we build out the capable agent, and while we build out the capable agent, I will actually probably make architectural diagrams as we go, so it's very clear. But we'll go here and we will drive this here, and we'll have tool use. Okay, and then we will drag our prompt over here. And so we'll go to our observe. And then we'll go here and drag this to take action. Mermaid is pretty cool at AI as well. Yeah, it's okay. Like, actually, I think that, no, maybe not. I was going to say that that visualizer I showed earlier might have been using Mermaid, but it's actually not using it. I do find that sometimes it is frustrating if we do get architectural diagrams submitted in that, because sometimes they're not as complex as they need to be, but a lot of times they're pretty good. So I still prefer if people build out their architectural diagrams. Chris, are you using Mermaid, or are you still driving things the old way?
I literally just heard about it for the first time yesterday. So I kicked the tires on it, but I'm not actively, like, consistently using it yet.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then Dan says there's a plugin for it, and that's true. Okay, so here we have our very basic loop. I can't remember what that should be called. Actually, reflect would go, and it might loop back like this.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we have our basic loop. So what I want to do is I just want to kind of like make it very specific to what we're building, and so try to show what the physical layer looks like where the files are stored and stuff like that.
Cool.
So one thing for this project that we will have is a configuration directory, or like a catch-all directory for all of our stuff, and this is going to be called Bo-Ken-Sha. Okay. And so the idea is that this is going to store credentials. This is going to store settings. So we'll say settings.yaml. This will probably be a .env. It is a .env. This will store prompts that you can override. There will be prompts that are already built into the system. So prompts for overriding. And it will also have logs. Okay. And so this, by default, will live in your home directory. If you've ever used a tilde, that means home directory. But you can configure it so you can set it to anywhere. And so I do have a environment variable that can be used to override it, which is called Bo-Ken-Sha config. I'm not sure what it's called. Let's go take a look here. So I'll just zoom out here for a second, and we'll just stop this. And if I stop it here, Bokensha dir, yes. And so this will be what points to here. Okay.
Oh, I'm still listening. I have somebody's at the door. I'll be right back.
No worries. And we'll see Chris back in just a moment. So that will be something here. Another thing is that I want for our goal for this whole thing, I guess I will wrap this whole agent in here so we just know definitively the boundary of our agent. Okay. And we will provide here a thicker line on this border, if I can figure that out here. There we go. Okay, great. And we're going to bring this into the back here. If I can find how to move things back, or I'll just use the hotkey. Hotkeys are a bit better, I think. And so this will be our, what do we call it in the documentation? Something agent. Player journey agent, right? So it's our player journey agent. Technically, it's called Bokensha. And I think that our agent should be executable. So the idea is that when you type in Bokensha anywhere, so I'm going to make a $sign to represent the terminal, or maybe that for the terminal. We'll say when you type in Bokensha, it will actually execute wherever this agent is stored. Okay. And where this agent is stored is going to be based on, technically it's installed globally as a Ruby gem, but we have another one here which will actually set its path. So we exactly know where this thing is an environment variable. Okay. So yeah, it's a global executable.
Okay.
Does it need to be? No, but I just like the idea of self packaging it, because if anybody wanted to adopt this into a, let's say a coding harness or autonomous agent, then we would have that solved, right? Are we building our agent using Ruby or whatever we are comfortable with? So I would say it's up to you, but like if you are not really good at coding and you just want to really make sure that you get to the end of this, I'm going to show the Ruby code and show how to run it. And I would just strongly suggest sticking with that because it's rock solid. But if you really have to port it to something else, you can. You can port it to Python. You can port it to Rust. You can port it to Java. What's another exotic language, Chris?
COBOL.
COBOL. Yeah, I don't know how that
assembler.
Assembler. Yeah. You can port it to whatever you want. Lua scripts. I don't care. It just has to work, right? But I'm just telling you, I've solved most of the stuff. And if you want to maximize the third week, that's what you should do. And at the same time, it's like you can use the agent to help you drive, or like you use your coding harness to drive code. I think that as a developer in 2026, you should be able to generally look at code and work your way through it and not be too hung up on the language. Okay.
I mean, the thing that I would do if you're not comfortable with Ruby, is just say, dear Claude agent or dear agent, whatever, explain this to me. This is the language I know. This is the language this is written in. Explain this code to me using what I already know. That's very effective for me.
Well, and even like this, the circle mud is written in C, right? And so you might not like C, but I went in there and I had to explore it and I have to make sure that I can make sense of it. Oh yeah, the last one there, that actually is a real language. It's not, someone's not swearing. They're actually mentioning an actual language.
It's terrible. I actually saw it, somebody written it out and using that, and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible.
Does Temple OS have its own language?
I don't know.
I would hope that it does. If anyone hasn't ever looked up Temple OS, check out Temple OS. It's very interesting. It's, pardon, what, Bako? What'd you say, Bako? Bako's in my ear, folks.
Bako's in the ears.
Oh, it's heresy? Is that what you said, Bako?
Wait,
Holy C? Oh, sorry. There is a language. It's called Holy C. And actually, so Todd, the reason, like the inspiration for this thing for the boot camp, because he's mentioning why the pointed guide to Ruby. The inspiration for making the agent with Scratch was from a framework called Camping. Camping Ruby framework. Ruby framework. I'm not sure if it'll show you here. So camping was a micro framework to show you how MVCs work. Because back in the day, surprisingly, people had a really hard time understanding how MVC patterns work, like modern web frameworks. Okay. And so I went through this because I remembered it from a long time ago, and I was trying to figure out how I could adapt it for our agent. I kind of did that. But why the pointage guide is really awesome. If anyone has an opportunity to look at it. But anyway, so yeah, it's going to be executable from here. And then we have this, which is going to rely on at load time. We're going to, I guess we should expand what the logs are. So the logs are in a very specific format. I'll just make another box, I suppose. I don't have to make another box. And so the format would be, I think, the session ID. I think that's what it is. And then it's the date, and it's JSON-L logs.
And the log section is what you're using to feed your visualizer, right?
That's correct. Yes. Oh,
okay.
Yeah. We have a visualizer, which are just extra tools. So that is called LogViz. And I'll just say what it is. Visualizes the JSON-L logs.
Put a little arrow going from logs to the visual to LogViz, so people know that it's they're connected.
So we'll go here and connect that. This thing is built as a Sinatra app. Okay. I think because it read my code base and it was just like, I said make a tiny app, and once you start working with Ruby, then it starts doing everything in Ruby. But it could have been Express. It could have been whatever
I don't know anything about Ruby. Is it a Sintra app or a Sinatra app?
Sinatra, like the singer.
Like,
fly me to the moon, you know. And sorry, folks. That's for another time. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
And I think there's like a joke people think like I'm a crooner. Can't remember why, but anyway, yeah. So, like think of like whatever the smallest framework is in Python. I forget what it's called.
Fast API or what?
No, even smaller than that. What's the smallest web framework? Flask.
Oh, is that smaller than really? Okay.
Yeah, Flask is smaller. Yeah, for sure. So like Flask is the Sinatra is the equivalent of Flask. Every framework has it. So my point is that if you folks don't like it, you can just rewrite it. But honestly, it just works and you can just run it, and it has no dependency on anything else. So we have our LogViz. And then I also have preview. This is more for the world, right? So we have preview, and this is I think I just let it do whatever it wants. I think it's just an Express. No, I think it's, I don't know if it is an Express.js app, but we'll say Express.js, TypeScript, plus React, I think. And so this visualizes the world data so the human can explore visually and make a plan of execution. So that is, yeah, everyone's saying Flask. What's Ruby Oak? Is that safe to search on stream? Ruby Oak. I don't know. But anyway, so we have the preview, and that's more for visualizing the data. I suppose we need our infrastructure in here because we actually do have infrastructure. And so we'll go over to here. And we have Docker, and we only have a single container that is running TBA mud. And we can actually pull up some of that information and visualize. I'm just checking our time. Yeah, we're good for time. What is the drawing tool you're using? This is a paid service called Lucid App. You could also use Draw.io.
Or Excalibur or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever you want. I don't like Draw.io is actually really good for free, but unfortunately I am now used to this. And just like somebody that uses Flash Macromedia and they never want to upgrade and always make their websites in Flash Macromedia, I'm kind of stuck with Lucid, but Lucid's good.
I'm an old Visio guy, so I can't even talk.
We had when I went to college, we had a teacher who was obsessed with Flash Macromedia, like Flash is programming language. I can't remember what it was called for making websites. And like for until they completely 100% got rid of it. He just kept building websites in that. So like it's like someone using Cold Fusion forever. Sorry. And so we'll go here and let's take a look at the infrastructure so we can kind of visualize that information. So I have a Docker Compose, and you can see it's just running. The container is called Circle Mud, but technically it's running TBA Mud. So the container is Circle Mud. It's actually TBA Mud. And this is running on port 4000. So we'll say port 4000. And there is no database, but there is a folder called lib. So this is our container. Maybe I should put container somewhere in here.
When you say a folder called lib, do you mean a static disk area outside of the container or something in the container?
Yeah, there actually is there's literally a directory called lib that's relative to here in our infrastructure folder.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it.
Which I don't know why I don't see it right now. It should be here.
It's right there. Volume lib opt circle mud lib.
No, but like here in the actual in the preview here, like in the left hand menu here. So I have infrastructure. I don't see my lib directory for some reason. And I don't know why. That's a little bit strange. I'm going to just go take a look there for 2 seconds. When I set up this environment, I was doing everything as root and I didn't notice. And then I eventually switched it over. And so I just wonder if it's like hidden from me. Yeah, I don't know why I don't see it. Anyway.
Is that what the agent is reading for outputs from the mud or what?
No, it doesn't read the lib directory, but it's just we expose it because then we can see the data ourselves. And also we persist the data outside of it. But for whatever reason, it's not showing up.
But the agent doesn't need it.
No, the agent doesn't need it. But for whatever reason, I don't know why I don't see it right now. So it's somewhere, but there's supposed to be a lib directory. And when we actually do the bootcamp, you'll see me explore it. And so I guess we should represent this project folder that might help a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this will be whatever we called the repo. It is called this. Oh, folks, I promised this bootcamp that I actually made sure that the project repo name is the same as what I'm using. Because in our instructions, we always say, like, if you don't name the repo right, you'll fail. And then I would always have it different. And this time we fixed that consistency issue. I
wasn't going to say anything, Andrew, but I'm glad you mentioned that.
Well, I mean, it happens. Again, we're pretty flexible here, folks, but just not the node modules thing, okay? So here is our actual project directory. So I'm just going to say sites because that's what I like to put mine in here. And in here we have a few things. We have week 0 explore. Okay, I'm just making these folders to make it a little bit easier.
And that's what we're doing right now, right?
That's what we're doing. Well, yes, that's what we're doing this week. Yeah. And in here we have infrastructure. I'm not sure I'm boxing it so much, but it's whatever. And so we'll make that actually look like a folder. There we go. And then within that, we're going to have our lib directory. And this contains world data generated, seeded when container first runs. Okay. And so that sits in here.
Okay, so for the lib directory, the current repo does not have that skeleton structure spooled out. So should people pull the repo now, or should they wait, or
no? When they first run the infrastructure, like when they first start up the mud, it will create it.
It'll make the lib. Oh, okay. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
I don't know if that's the default behavior. We'll check the entry point in just a moment here to see if that's the reason why. Folks, if you find all this complicated, just understand that we might run a beginner bootcamp that's AI related. I was talking to Baco about it because I just don't know how advanced this is for some folks. But if you haven't yet and you didn't know, there are prereqs to this course. I probably should have mentioned that. It is in the documentation. Well, no, like it's mentioned.
It's in the docs. It is in the docs.
It's in the docs.
Yes.
But I just say, like, some people make it all the way to the live stream here and they haven't looked at anything. And I understand. It's just you find something, you're excited, you get in here. But I just wanted to point out that there is prereq courses or a course. And we have one that's on Claude, Codex, Gemini, or an open coding one. And then we have all these materials somewhere. So if you haven't and you're a little bit confused, just understand there is stuff and you can try to get ramped up. And the reason we made week 1 easy is so that you can get caught up, because no matter how much us saying like, hey, you got to be ready, people are never ready. So we're giving you that leeway to get caught up. Okay.
There are 5 videos in the playlist right now for the Claude Code Camp, and there's a lot of walkthrough in those 5 videos of exactly how we're talking about how to pull the repo, how to get your environment stood up locally, all of that stuff in there. So if you are confused about what we're doing right now, watch those videos.
And you can always come back to this video and then you'll have like an aha moment, because we are obviously a little bit ahead. And as you work through it, this stuff will make more sense, right? So the circle, I think that's just a duplicate here. Okay, so we have the Docker container over here. The other thing that it has, we have the volume in here. It's running on port 4000. Oh, I guess like how do you connect? And it's connecting through Telnet. So technically this interfaces with this. So we'll have another arrow like this. And at the end, we'll have Chris rank my diagram, and he'll say awful. Well, I mean, like, this is what I mean. Like, when you build cloud stuff, you get into a pattern of like what it looks like. And I'm like, does this look good? I don't know. It's just like I'm throwing whatever I can get on here because I don't know. Where are the videos? The videos will be released on the Exam Pro platform at the end of this live stream. We always do that. So at the end of this live stream, which ends in the 2-hour mark of what we're doing, we go over to the after class Q&A, where we spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes talking behind the scenes or whatever. It's just another opportunity for us to interact with us and ask direct questions that I can answer directly, though I'm answering people here. But yeah, they're on the thing. And we do not release videos early. A lot of people were asking for the pre-week early. No, the whole point of the pre-week is to prep you for the real week. And, we just couldn't do that a bit early. So,
but you also have the setup project repo, run mud, create users on YouTube right now, right? Is that the same? Are you talking about the same ones?
I don't know what's on YouTube. I mean, my team was not supposed to put anything on YouTube. It's supposed to be in Vimeo, but sometimes no, it's not a big deal. Sometimes there's some inconsistency there, and they'll upload it because our prior boot camps, we always upload stuff. So, gotcha. Bako, did we upload anything to YouTube?
Paging Bako.
Oh, okay. So I guess yeah. So Bako says like there was a hidden YouTube playlist, and for whatever reason Chris found it. But
is it anyway? I just clicked on it. It's right there.
It's fine. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Right.
The thing is,
everybody ignore me. We will release it when Andrew wants to release it.
Sure. Anyway. But yeah, there shouldn't be sometimes we put videos on YouTube as redundancy. So like Vimeo's our main platform, but some people in some countries, they can't reach Vimeo. And so we'll have to put a backup on YouTube, but they're not supposed to be publicly available. So
now Bako's going to hide it from me. I won't be able to see it anymore.
That's okay. But you can access, if you just buy the boot camp, Chris, you can.
Good call.
Anyway, so I'm going to go here and just drag a line from our actual agent to our mud manager, because that's what it interfaces with. And then this is using Telnet. So it's going on a Telnet connection on local-host 4000. You can use NC, which I believe stands for Netcat. Can the networking people confirm for me? Or you could use Telnet. I don't know why you can use both. I'm not a networking person. Usually we have Tim for that. But wherever Tim is, but that's the protocol. Oh, it's great. We had a confirmation. NC is for Netcat, but the idea is that this is interfacing with this, and so these tool uses is actually what is probably driving here those calls. But technically, also the mud is interfacing directly for session management, because not everything's done by tools. So there's some direct interface with the mud manager here with some kind of code on the interior of the agent. And then other parts of it is the tool use. Telnet no longer comes by default on many systems. Oh, fair enough. But the Netcat doesn't come up by default, though. I had to install it, I think. For Telnet, you may need to enable it on Windows 10, 11, DSIM. So And for folks, I recommend that you do everything in a Linux environment. So if you're on Windows, I would strongly suggest using WSL. And for grading, it'll be really hard if you make it Windows side for me. So try to make sure that your environment runs in Linux or at least a container. If I have to go into that code, some folks are talking about using Putty. I never could get Putty to work, to be honest. I know that sounds really dumb, and but like I know it sounds dumb, but like
Well, yeah, to be fair, you've never. I mean, you're not a Windows person, so you wouldn't. You don't care about Putty.
yeah, but you know, if I need to use Putty, I'll ask Bako. Bako's really good at the Windows servicing, so to speak. So anyway, we have our mud manager there, and the mud manager is responsible for managing the session. So I'll just say like managing telnet session. Are they the same? Who? And me and Bako? No, I'm sure that's not the question, but
They really are the same.
okay.
He's listening to voices in his head.
And I mean, oh yeah, the prompts are over here. For the first one, we only have a system prompt, so it's like prompts system. But like when we get into the what do you call it? The second week, the last week of the boot camp, we'll need more prompts, right? And so I designed this so that we're assuming that we're going to have more prompts as we go here, as that's expected. So there's that. Another thing is that I made this so that it works with multiple agents. So we technically, I guess we never really explored any of the code here. So I can just drag this on down here because we have a bunch of coding components in here. And so if we go over to here and look at the code, again, we're looking ahead, folks. So the registry, the prompt builder, the API client, loop. We'll just look at the code as that'll be a little bit easier for me to see in here. So yeah, we have the logger. Now I'm just trying to drag out the code stuff. Like normally you wouldn't diagram this amount of information, but because I'm just trying to make it as visually clear as possible, we're just going a little bit extra here to do that. And so the agent here is actually driven by our agent code. It should be an agent.rb. Okay. And we'll go here, and I will just bring this back. And so we have our agent.rb. Our logger is going to do our logging, as you can imagine. So it will be responsible for generating out logs. We have in here our config file. So as you can imagine, our config is responsible for managing our config. I really wanted to make this a single file, but it's just not possible. Like I wanted to make a very simple like learning model for agents and make it a single one. Just didn't work that way. We have
but honestly, having separate files is, I mean, it helps in terms of like visualizing what each piece of this is doing. So when everybody jams everything to one big file, it kind of like muddies the learning process. So this is better.
We have a context file. So context file, we have a couple structures. Like I think it's called bokensha.context. And this is kind of a container structure. We talk about this literally in the second video of week 1, which I haven't recorded yet. But this is like the data that gets carried through it, because you need like when you are working with agents, it's good to create a data structure that will make it easy for each part of the code to read it. And so we created a data structure called Bokensha. I know I'm not explaining well, but there's a thing and we'll use it. Okay. We have in here, so tool.rb is what is probably helping drive and run the tools. So we'll go here and wrap it like that. And we'll go up like this. So there's tool RB. There's the registry for registering the tools. So, you know, it's not just enough to have the tool. You have to have them registered. So That's usually a very major component when making your agent is the registry. So registry.rb.
And what does that mean? What does the registry do?
It basically just holds all the tools that you can use. Right? So like like tool defines the structure of what a tool is, and the registry is holding all the tools that you've defined. Okay.
Okay.
Is the best way I can probably describe it. We have the TUI. So the TUI is the text user interface. This is how the user interacts with it. So technically it would be over here, like this, because this one is our entry point. If I have time, folks, I'll make this, I like making beautiful graphs, but I'll try to make it look extra beautiful. So this is going to be the interface, text user interface, that the student, or that the user uses. We have RELP, rep. Have you ever heard of this term, Chris? REPL. Yeah. So yeah, it's a developer term. So actually, there's a company called Replit, which doesn't make it easier. But like when you have a command program that is in a loop that you interact with, that's what REPL is. Runtime, something
loop.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's runtime loop. Yeah. So it literally is the thing that powers the loop. And so where it says agentic loop, technically that is powered by
read eval print loop. That's what
read eval print loop. There you go. So that thing, yeah, that's what I said. And so that thing, it would be like sitting here. Guys, this is simple, right? Like see all the components? It's easy.
Yeah, it's wicked easy. What?
So yeah, I know it looks like it looks more than it is, but
everybody that's currently overwhelmed about this, don't worry. Andrew is going to build this step by step as we go. This is like all of the stuff that we're going to be getting into and how we're going to place it, but don't freak out.
And so this connects to here, okay? And then we have there is a run DSL. So sometimes you'll want to program, like, or when you build an agent, you should want to have a way that you can programmatically work with it like an SDK. So like, let's say you want to do that. And so we implemented the run DSL. And so that just makes it so that, it's like over here, so that like when you define your code, then you can write stuff like Bokenshaw dot run, like do whatever you want, right? Like as an SDK. So we have that there because when we're building it through, we need to make sure that this thing is working. And so every single step of this thing, like if I go into here, there's an examples directory, right? And it's driven by example code to make sure that it actually works. And when we get to the run DSL, which you go over here, you're going to see like something that looks a lot cleaner. So here it says Bokenshaw run, and like this is your task, and these are your tools, and this is if you had to programmatically integrate it. And so that's that step there. Okay. We'll go back down over into our lib here. We basically almost have everything. Client, it's just the client. Config powers the config. That's fine. Is models, that wasn't fully defined, but there's one that defines the backends. Here, backends. Okay. So in here we have our backends. And so these are all the different types of integrations we have. I think that if you're going to build a tool or an agent, don't build it around one, just one model. Always have like a backup. And so I have here Anthropic, Gemini, Ollama Cloud, Ollama, OpenAI. And so I did this. There are tools out there. I've like, Chris, have you ever used OpenRouter?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. And so OpenRouter sounds great on paper. It has connections to, let's say, 1,000 models, and it normalizes a lot of the stuff like logging and building and stuff like that.
Right.
But in practice, it's too hard to make a single unified interface, like a single unified adapter for all this stuff. And what I found was that I really could only use the frontier models anyway, and they all had gotchas. And so at that point, I was just like, well, forget this. I'm just going to implement them individually, because if I'm going to be dealing with edge cases, that's what I'm going to do. Now, that's not to say that OpenRouter does not have its value. It depends on its use case. And it's nice to be able to pay for tokens and utilize it for anything. But I found it was less of a headache to do that. And also by implementing the backends directly, we started learning about all the very specific features and how they're really not all the same. And by shoving everything under OpenRouter, you're losing like serious thinking capabilities. And so that's why we went with this route. Now, in practice, you might just want to use OpenRouter because you want to get the job done and you don't care about all the little tweaking. But in this one, we do implement all those backends. We do have some tools. So like I have some generic tools for file system use here. And then for interfacing with the shell, but mostly we have our mud. And so the mud, these are the tools that wrap the calls for the mud manager, because mud manager will be like, it'll have a function like called attack or something. But when you are building out your tools, you don't want to have literally a tool for every single action. You want to roll them up into things like, so maybe you have a tool that's called travel, and its job is to make you travel from one place to another. And underneath, when you're traveling, it's calling functions like look or
north,
or
south,
whatever.
east, west. Yeah.
Right. Open door or stuff like that, because the more tools you have, it's bad, they say. So I describe it better. I'm more articulate in my my Claude architect course because I have time to prep the content. Sounds smart, but more tools mean bad. Okay.
Right.
So yeah, this is a mess, but anyway, do you have any questions, Chris?
Several thousand, but
Sure.
we have 13 minutes left. So what I want to assure everybody that this is not the time when you freak out and say, no, this is too hard for me. This is there's a couple ways to go about this course. One, if you are a person that comes to this as not being a coder, don't worry about it. You have the office hours to ask questions, but more importantly, you have frontier models and you have Olama. You can ask a ton of like basic questions about Ruby or about Python or about functions or any of the words that Andrew and I said that you do not know inherently what they mean. Ask AI. Ask your friends in Discord. I mean, like Andrew said at the beginning of this, the more we ask in public, the more we all learn together. So there are people that are actually doing that right now in chat. Folks like Gina is being amazing. Gina for Gina is answering a bunch of questions of other people that are asking that we have not been able to get to. So thank you, Gina, and Boris and Bako. Bako's in there, and Dan is. So everybody is feeding off of everybody. So keep heart. The diagram of the finished product is a lot if you are just looking at it for the first time. But as we go into each one of those tiny little subdivisions and explain the subdivisions, you're going to be like, oh, okay, I know what that means. And then it's like looking at an engine for the first time. You're overwhelmed by pistons and gears and sprockets and cogs and whatnot. But if you just take apart the carburetor and you see that it's only 7 pieces, and then you reassemble the carburetor and put it back in, you're like, okay, I get the carburetor. Now I'm going to move on to the chassis or the steering wheel or whatever like that. So calm down, breathe, relax. AI is your friend. We are your friend, and we're all going to get through this together. So in the videos that you are releasing, Andrew, you're going to have how to install Docker Desktop, how to get how to get the TBA mud up and running locally so people can play with it and kind of understand it, how to copy the repo down. I didn't look at the videos. Hold on, let me.
I'm not sure if we have. I know I have a video somewhere for Docker Desktop, Bako. If you want to try to find one, throw in there. But like Docker Desktop, you go to the website, you click
run mud, create users, how to play mud, visualize world dataset primary challenge, explore agent architecture 1, explore agent architecture 2. These are all additional pieces of information that will bring all of this information together.
Mm-hmm. And folks, I make videos ad hoc as we go here. So if I feel there's a strong pain point, I will just produce a video, and that can definitely make it easier for folks. People ask, we clone the GitHub or fork it. It's all in the video. I cannot remember, even though I made it and I set up the instructions. I cannot remember, but it is in the video in terms of how we set it up. So just carefully watch that video.
You copy the template over to your user account.
So Chris watched the video, so he knows more than me, and I made the video. I just can't remember things. It's just too
That's
much
fine.
for me.
That's fine. I literally did it 15 minutes before we started. So
I know, like after this, I gotta go work on my treadmill I'm building and with my woodworking and stuff. And so anyway, Preweek, folks, because I didn't really talk about what's happening in Preweek, but the idea of Preweek is my main goal for Preweek that I want you to leave with is like, what should we use? Because this is when I was talking to Tim, when I was just talking to some folks just like how to develop it. And he was saying like, yeah, there's all this stuff, but like what agent architecture do I use? Are we just using skills? Are we using that agent thing? Do I have to use an SDK? Like what layer of this works? And I didn't choose the hardest layer. It's just that for this use case, it is what we needed to use for this use case. But we will walk through and we'll start easy. We'll say, okay, what if we just use a Claude.md file? And then we go, okay, what if we just use a skill? What if we just use a coding harness with the SDK and like the sub agent that's built in? Or what if we use an automation platform like N8N? And we go with that. And so I think that this is super valuable because then you can right scope what thing you need for what job. And this on its own is very valuable for Preweek here. So, and actually when I did Preweek, I ended up unfurling technical things, capabilities that I didn't consider. So, and yeah, you didn't ask this, which was great, but like, because then it would make more work for me. But like, I realized like when I was building this, I'm like, oh, should the agent be able to run multiple sessions at the same time and play two people at the same time? Because if you're replicating this game world, wouldn't you want to run multiple at the same time and then interact together? But I didn't consider that until I was working on it.
So I did think about that. That's it's way overkill. Two, it would immediately consume everybody's tokens. Oh, look, I got balloons. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, no, I thought about that too, like stress testing it and like really hammering it. But that is way down the road. That exceeds week 15 of this 3-week endeavor.
I'll tell you, I didn't do it, but like as I was working through this exploration phase of like what works and what doesn't work, I was like, oh right, that's why you would want a team of agents. But like, because I assume like there's no reason we'd ever want a team of agents. I couldn't figure out what it would be. AI LAN party. Well, I was hoping that we could have an AI LAN party, but I don't have it hosted anywhere. It'd be really cool if at the end of it we could run the mud on a server and see everyone play together, but I'm not sure as of yet.
Have everybody's agent come in and may the best agent win.
Yes, let's make more work. Bako, you now have more work to do. And he always says, don't make more work for yourself, and I'm always doing that. So there's that. I always prepare a lot of stuff that we don't even look at. But yeah, I mean, if people don't know, MUDs, has anyone ever heard of Zork? We were talking about it earlier. But yes. This is the origin of multi-user dungeons. So before multi-user dungeons, this probably was like in the late 70s. Oh, this is 81 here. There must have been stuff before this.
There's a live you can play Zork online right now. There's a website that you can go to and play Zork.
I think Adventure Colossal Cave was the first one, and it was like late 70s. But yeah, like you just type and you go around here. But the only difference between a text adventure game and a MUD is a MUD allows multiple players to connect to the same server. And so it's basically like a massively multiplayer online game that's text-based. And if we do pull Tim next week, if we can pull Tim next week, he will tell us all about it, as he'll be super excited. I just told him we were using Circle MUD. He's like, oh, I played that so much. And he's like, I used to code scripts for it and everything. And I was like, okay, well, we got to bring Tim back here when we get a chance here. So, but yeah, I would say that we've basically covered everything that I wanted to cover here. After this live stream, we're meeting in the after class Q&A in the Discord. Chris, you can join us, or you can go for lunch. It's up to you. It doesn't matter.
I'm starving.
Yeah, well, I just know you're hungry. This is lunchtime, right? So maybe Chris has to run, which is totally fine. But we'll hang out for 15 minutes in the after class Q&A where people can take stage and they can learn if there was any crazy mishaps behind the scenes, as there normally is. And we'll start getting things driven here. We'll open up the videos for folks, and we'll start identifying if there are additional videos that we need to release. But I'll just tell you right now, pre-week and week 1 should go very smoothly as all the content is laid out. Week 2 is a challenge for everyone and me as well, and it should be fun. I think the grading rubric needs to be published, so I will get that published as well today. And submissions, you need to have things submitted at the end of each week. Don't try to do everything, as it will not be possible. Some people try to make it a lot harder for themselves and then they're not able to submit on time. We are being a lot more strict with submissions. That is Baco's requirement. So if you don't like it, bug Baco for extensions. But basically, at the end of each week, of next week of when videos release, before next class, please submit and just do your best to submit whatever you have. Okay. And people always, like when we talked about Red Squad, a lot of people that made Red Squad were the people that were just consistent and submitted. Whereas some people, they just tried to shoot for the moon and then they never submitted because they had just had too much, right? So make sure you have that balance, if that makes sense. Chris, any final words or closing statements?
Have fun with this. This is supposed to be fun. You're literally learning how to make an agent to play a game. So don't get frustrated when you do start getting that little line in your forehead. Stop, get up, get yourself a nice cup of tea, take a little walk. Learning is hard, and learning something worthwhile can be painful and anxiety inducing. I always say that when you start feeling uncomfortable and when you start getting that little feeling in your chest, that's when you're learning. That's when things get sticky, that's when true learning happens. So this is both a anxiety inducing, but also it should be also enjoyable session. So have fun with it.
People are asking where to submit. Yeah, the submission form will be on Exam Pro within the journey. You will not see it right now as it's not visible. I usually open up submissions for Monday. So there'll be a couple days before you see the submissions and the criteria of what to submit. But generally, you are submitting a link to your GitHub for week 1. I will definitely want logs of the stuff that's being generated out there. But generally comes down to what you write up for your technical submission. And I will talk about what makes a good technical submission, as that's probably the most important part. Please do not use AI to write this stuff, folks. I can spot it from a mile away, and generally AI is not very good at writing technical specs for my requirements, unless you're like Dan, and Dan knows, like if you're a technical professional for like 15, 20 years and you know exactly how to work the wording and you know what a good document looks like, you can generate it out and then tweak it. But I'd rather have poorly written things that someone wrote than an AI generated thing. And look at me, I have spelling mistakes everywhere. And I'm very tolerant in terms of that stuff. I just want to know that you wrote it, if you can, or if you're Dan, you can generate out Dan and you can cut it down, because I know that what we'll get there is really good. But anyway, yep, thanks folks. And we'll just have the title screen here and we'll play you some nice music, and we will be over in the after class Q&A in the Discord in a few minutes. So just click over there and we will see you later. Ciao, ciao.